Hi, and welcome to the Lone Star Play Podcast, where we sit, eat, chat, and repeat. I'm your host, Patrick Scott Armstrong, and we are coming to you from Austin, Texas. The Lone Star Play Podcast is produced by Texas Real Food. Go to texasrealfood.com, and you can search your city for local restaurants, stores, butchers, farmers markets, and more who are using organic, fresh, artisanal, and local sources. It's a fun site that brings all natural options all together.
I was in Dallas one night playing at the Hard Rock Cafe for this little showcase, and Joe Simpson, at the time, obviously Jessica Simpson was, huge at that time, like her first album, just killing it. And he saw me play that night and was like, yeah, you're moving to LA with me and the family. I'm gonna get your flight and we're gonna make you a star. And I was like, it was just like that. I was like, okay.
Hello, brother. How we doing?
Hey, it's working. I'm so bad at this stuff. I always try to get on like 15 to 20 minutes early to allow myself for being dummy proof.
I feel you, man. And I do this for a living, and I still screw it up all the time. So no sweat, man. I love that background. All that stuff.
Oh, specifically this, just for you,
dude.
That's 2004 calendar. Oh, let me close the door.
I love it.
I was gonna move my Tony Romo jersey to just be the giant background, but then I realized then I'd have to move it back to where it was, take it out for all this stuff. I was like, it's all good.
So, are you a Cowboys fan? You mentioned Tony Romo.
Oh, dude, I'm diehard.
Diehard.
Huge Cowboys fan. Diehard Cowboys fan. Well, see, I was under the impression growing up that we always just won Super Bowls. So
no shit, right?
It was a shitty realization when I grew up and realized we don't always win a Super Bowl. When I was a kid, all we did was win. I thought it was easy. I was like, yeah, we go to the Super Bowl and we win. It's great.
Totally.
So it was very easy
that's true, man. In the 90s, we were the team. But before that, remember that? Before Jimmy Johnson took over?
Who was before Jimmy Johnson?
Tom Landry.
Oh yeah, see that was a little bit before my time. But I mean, obviously Tom Landry's he had the style.
He had the style. He had the swagger. Obviously he's a Hall of Fame or whatever. But when Jimmy Johnson took over, he just changed the game. That's cool to hear. That's cool to hear, man, that you're a football fan. I to be honest with you, I actually don't watch sports at all anymore.
Oh,
I don't
really?
know what I don't know what happened. Like, I don't know.
I don't watch sports in 2020 either.
Yeah.
Nobody does.
Yeah, nobody does. We're all they might be doing sports right with no audience. No. Right, can you imagine no crowd? Like,
I can because my girlfriend.
That's what you might have to do, right? Like, is that you think musicians might do something like that?
Concerts without a crowd?
Yeah.
It's been weird because I've done a lot of charity at home shows, during the thing. And like, it's still hard to get used to. It's interesting because it's different because you're playing a little bit differently than you do, when there's, tons of people watching you. Because you have to put it on. You could see the people actually reacting to like what we do on stage, and like you kind of feed off that. So when I'm doing like these, Zoom concerts or charity shows at home, like you're not feeding off anybody. You got to give everything and remember that people are actually watching, because in our heads, you're looking at a little camera, nobody's watching.
Yeah. But
in reality, there is a bunch of people watching, so you got to try to pretend like that people are watching. So that's been a little weird.
That has to be weird, man, because as an artist, a musician, you're all about like passion and like feeding off that energy. So I can't imagine what that. Yeah, man.
Yeah, and then when you get done with a song and you're just waiting for that.
Totally. Yeah.
And I'm so awkward. I don't know how to end them because I'm so used to being repeated. So I'm like, boom. All right.
Just like a little confetti bomb goes off next to you, just like poop.
You know what I should start doing? I should do what they're probably, because now they're doing. I watched a soccer game the other day, and they had the sound of the crowd, which I love because it actually made me feel like there was a crowd there. Like you need that in soccer. So I was like, should I get like a little tiny speaker and just like the second I get done with the song, just have like a little fake audience, so then I feel like it's not as awkward as it is.
That might be kind of cool because nobody's doing that.
I might get on it.
That honestly, I watch Real Time with Bill Maher, and he always does it. His monologues. He's been putting a crowd in, and the laughter and everything. He's been putting crowds in from like black and white. It's like from the 50s and stuff. It's really clever.
Right.
So I really like that because same thing for for him.
Something.
Yeah, you got to do something. Totally.
Do something. I love the cassette tapes in the back too.
Bro, I'm all about.
Are those actually like
cassettes.
yours from when you were younger, or are those just like?
No, these are mine from when I was a kid, man. I've got.
So you were smart and actually kept that stuff.
I've got them all, man. I got vinyls too from when I was a kid. I was born in '79, so the '80s were just like key for me. I was a big part of that transition from vinyl to tape to CD, even really. But let's see, I've got John Bon Jovi.
There you go.
Blaze of Glory. That's a nice little single there.
Okay.
Guns N' Roses, Weird Al Yankovic.
Yeah. What is that? Use Your Illusion, or which got you know?
It's Appetite for Destruction.
Oh, there you go. Nice.
Boom. We've got Survivor, Bruce Springsteen. Look, I've also got Whitney Houston on here. I love Whitney.
There you go. So you're eclectic.
Oh, I'm all about Def Leppard. I've even got New Kids on here. New Kids. I'm not afraid.
You know what? A lot of people because I listen to like everything too, like from to like jazz to rock to boy bands to to pop to a little bit of everything, and everyone you'll give you shit about it. It's like what? I'm cultured, bro.
That's right.
I'm cultured. I like everything. Would you rather be the guy that only eats hot dogs and hamburgers, or are you the guy that can eat sushi, hot dogs, hamburgers, Mexican, a little bit of everything?
That's what I'm talking about. Great way to do the food analogy.
There's no way to ever replace or top like the old Tex-Mex.
Dude, am I right? Tex-Mex. Like, absolutely. So Ryan. So they don't have it, right?
We have so much Mexican food and great Mexican food, but they can't beat the Tex-Mex.
Totally, man. Yeah, because you grew up in Dallas, right?
Yeah, I grew up in Flower Mound.
Yeah, I know Flower Mound. I grew up I went to Grapevine in Colleyville.
Okay. Yeah, I remember when like the Grapevine Mills Mall was opened up, and it was like the biggest deal, when we were
totally.
Younger. It's like it's gonna be the biggest mall in town. And then I made it a point like later on, like this was when I was a kid. So then when I started playing music and I started to get a little bit of success, I was like, I gotta go back, and because I was doing these mall tours. Because the record came out and the demographic was really young, so they had me doing these mall tours, and I was like, gotta hit the Grapevine Mills Mall. That is,
hell yeah.
That's not on the schedule. I ain't doing this tour, so they put it on the schedule. And, I'll never forget that show.
That's awesome, man.
I set the record for the most people in that mall ever. Yeah,
no
great.
Shit.
Those are things that growing up in that area, like that's like what was important to me.
Totally, dude. Like, was it at the what part of the mall was it where remember they used to have that Sega GameWork thing? Was it near that?
Oh God, it's been so long.
I know, right?
Like in the middle, there's like a middle area, like the main like atrium hang. I think there's a food court, whatever. It was like that middle area, and it was just like people up in the escalators, up on the top things, like the whole sea of like fun stuff. And I was like, because I remember like telling myself, kids, like one day, y'all don't even know. One of those things.
Y'all don't even know. That's right.
I'll be headlining this mall.
You're inside a Foot Locker, just trashing it. Just like
it was an Anchor Blue. I had to do a signing in Anchor Blue.
Nice. I love it. That's awesome, man. Yeah. So Flower Mound, holy shit. So do you get to? How often do you go back to Texas?
I go back about maybe 3 or 4 times a year. I go because my mom and my brother still live there. So I go visit my family, or I go home every Christmas. I'll be there in 2 weeks to DJ a wedding. A buddy of mine's getting married, and he's going through with it. And here's the problem: is when you play music or you're a DJ, all your friends they start giving that call when it's time for them to get married. I'm like, man, I was like, I would love to do it, but it's like if I did all my friends' weddings, I'm like, damn. So, but I'm a sucker, like with the homies. He's like, come on, bro. I'm like, you're right. I ain't got nothing else to do right now. Let's do it.
Especially when your friend's Ryan Cabrera. You know what I mean? Like, dude,
Well, I think writing True was one of the biggest blessings and biggest curses of my life, because True is such a wedding song that like every one of my friends is like, it's only one song. I'm like, yeah, but that's a whole one giant trip out there.
Bro, you know how many people have had babies, gotten married to that song? We're talking millions.
Man, I hope so.
There's a lot of little RCs running around. You know what I mean? Not directly from you. Not
yeah. No. Let's set that record straight. Write it out.
That came out wrong.
They might have that old school, like that hair. They might have like that hair up there, but it ain't mine.
So there's all these little kids at your concert with that hair in the front row. You're like, wait a second, is that?
No. I did fly back to Texas to do my brother's wedding, though. He wanted me to play True at his wedding, so I did that.
Well, that obviously makes the most sense there, right? Like, of course, for family. It's honestly, man, that's such a beautiful song. I must have listened to it like 10 times just like preparing for this podcast, man. It really is. I mean, you know that. It's such a...
I don't know. No, dude, every time, for me, like, I always it still blows my mind, like, to hear, songs and wherever, if there's in stores or restaurants and stuff. Like, I still, like, even though I've been doing this for, like, 16, 17 years, like, it's new to me every time. So
That's awesome.
Appreciate anything.
That's awesome, man. It keeps you fresh, right? It just keeps you on your toes. I like that.
You're appreciating it, I appreciate the fact that, I get to play music for a living.
Totally. Yeah, that's awesome, man. So what, as far as like, your schedule, everything, obviously the pandemic hit. Did you have to cancel a lot of, shows and tours?
We rescheduled all of our, pretty much everything up till right now, I believe. As of now, we're starting in August. I don't know if that's going to happen. I mean, they're hopeful, but most of everything up until August has been moved to 2021, and I'm still kind of expecting just everything for the rest of the year to be moved to them. But it's really up to the powers that be. If they feel safe and they think it's something that you can pull off, then I'll be there. If not, then it's not worth it. Like, I'd rather move it till next year and make sure everybody's doing it properly.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's also, because you travel around all the different states, and even within the states the cities are doing it differently. So hard to keep up with that, I'm sure.
Who's to say what's right, what's wrong? I don't know. So we'll just see. We'll just see. I'm planning on just continuing to just write while we can, at home, and do these fun podcasts and like do some, charity concerts and figure out ways to, make the best of it, and that's all you can do. Yeah. Still been painting a lot. I paint a lot. I've been like, making jackets and stuff for people and trying to figure out ways to be creative, at home. Painted that one for my mom. I got to bring that to her in a couple weeks.
Oh, wow. Holy shit. I thought you bought that, honestly.
Mama, dude. No, I did. No, I love painting. So that's been kind of, and also like a way to get through, being at home and all that stuff.
That's so funny as an artist, right? You've been cooking a lot.
Oh yeah, every day.
What kind of stuff? Like, what are you into?
Well, for me, like, cooking is the same as, writing a song or, painting a painting. Like, it's all creative, and I don't really know what I'm doing, but because I've done so much, I figured out. The same thing with painting. Like, people think like, oh, did you go to school for that? It's like, I just grab something and I just do it. You figure it out along the way. And I think a lot of people too with cooking, they think like, oh, I don't know how to cook. They're like, well, you won't until you just keep trying, and then you try something new, and then you throw something else in there, and then you get some tips from other people, and along the way, like I started cooking maybe like 5 or 6 years ago, because one of my ex-girlfriends got sick, and I had to cook for her every day, and it just became something that I love doing and trying to get better at. I like taking normal dishes and just throw some weird stuff in there and make it new. Now the only problem with that is I never really remember exactly what I did. So if you want it twice, probably ain't gonna happen with me.
That's hilarious. You're not the only one that does that.
Right. That's the, it's got to be fun. It's creative. It's a way to to make something that didn't exist. It's awesome.
Yeah, that is cool.
And it makes a lot of people happy. You can cook.
Are you kidding me? Absolutely, man. It's the way to the soul, I think, through the stomach, right? Don't they say that? I don't know. I think so. I think if not, it should be.
All the gentlemen out there who think like, oh, I need to learn how to cook. If you want to get into a lady's heart, you learn how to cook.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, I've been cooking for a long time. I owned a food truck here in Austin for many years, and you know, sort of why I
Nice.
got going with this podcast. To be honest with you, but yeah, man, I love cooking. I actually do cook all the time at home too, and my wife cooks as well, very well. So I'm lucky, to be honest with
Lucky, you're stacked household. You
you.
always got
Stacked. Stacked, dude. Yes. I actually run my house kitchen like I did my commercial kitchen. So it's not like normal. You come to my house, it doesn't look like a normal person's kitchen. It's just,
right.
I'm weird. I got shit labeled and
That's good.
stored. And yeah, it's just, you
Good.
learn those disciplines when you work in a kitchen, and it just carries over. I'm sure your music studio at your house would be much different from, Joe Schmo's music
Well,
studio.
I think everyone's got to make it their own.
Yeah,
like,
that's a good point.
Whatever makes you vibe and get in the zone, or your kitchen is your studio, or it's like it's like your safe place. So if you like you very particular, you like things a certain way, so you can do what you do, so you can perform at the highest level.
That's right, man. Where's like some crazy places you've recorded or anything like that just stands out?
Not too crazy. I mean, we've done the stuff where we do some vocals like in a bathtub, in the bathroom to try to get like the weird reverb. We've tested that because I have a lot of friends who have home studios, and it's like if it's close enough, we're getting that 500-yard mic cable, just get in the bathroom, just try to do something weird. We've experimented with that. I mean, as far as for me, like one of the coolest places I recorded was Capitol Studios. I did my first record where on the same microphone that Sinatra sang on. And like that to me is like, because I love, the history of places, or when I play venues and I'm like, Paul Simon stood right here one day and, blah, 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 I was backstage one day. So when we recorded there, like where the Beatles, were, and like Sinatra, like that kind of stuff like blows my mind. So that was a cool
can't
experience.
imagine.
Like nowadays, most people are doing home studios, and which is smart because you don't really, need as much equipment as you used to. But there is also a vibe about going into an actual studio where you can feel the presence of people. I did something not for my record, but I was working on somebody else's record, and it was like where Michael Jackson recorded Thriller, like those kind of things. And you can still feel the presence of those artists in that studio, and it creates a vibe.
I can't imagine. So you have really seen the progression change, right? From nothing, because right? I mean,
totally different worlds now. So different. What you can do with just a computer and a microphone is out of control.
And social media, right? Like when you started, what was around really?
Well, that didn't exist.
Nothing.
Social media is still confusing to me.
Yeah.
I'm old school. But I see the beauty in it. There's nothing better than being able to instantly be able to be like, hey, what do you guys think of this? And actually get feedback from, what you'd love to think is mostly your fans. Obviously there is, the percentage of people who are all your haters as well, which is the downside of social media is all the people just want to get on and talk shit. It's like, I got nothing else better to do. So other than that, but it is a way to instantly find out, some people who may, doesn't have to say they love it, but they could be like, dude, not really feeling that, this kind of thing. And it's cool to see that and take something from it from people who, are following you or whatnot. It's still, I'm not like the all across the board. Like I try to, run every single thing because I feel like it's become our job now. Whereas before we had social media, that wasn't a part of our job, was to write the best music we could and get out there and perform, and get in the studio. And now it's like a daily thing. You wake up and you got to check and do, and there's just more stuff to do. But I've had to teach myself to grow and adapt to love it,
Absolutely. And there's so many platforms, right? It's not like there's one platform to get on.
There's something new, and it's great. I do like the fact that a lot of the things help people to become more creative. There's a lot of people who do these quick little 45-minute things, and I'm like, damn, that's kind of genius. I wish I had thought of that. But that's not really my world.
Yeah. No, that's crazy. Gosh, yeah. It has changed. I'm curious, Ryan, if so your last name is Cabrera. I'm actually half Mexican. My mom's from Mexico City.
Oh, have you? All right,
So
nice.
yeah, so anytime I see, that's what I was going to ask. Where's is it Venezuelan?
No, Colombia.
Colombia. Okay.
Colombia. Yeah, my dad is from Barranquilla.
Right on, man. That's awesome. So did you grow up with like Spanish in the household, or how did that work?
My grandmother, like, she always tried to get us to talk Spanish, and she used to make us watch the telenovelas, you know, to try to learn. But, you know, my dad never really taught us, or, you know, obviously we took it in school, but just like everybody else. Yeah, I'm a mix of so many different things. So I'm half Hispanic, half white, and then, you know, whatever above where they're from, but majority. I mean, now that I've grown up a little bit more, I've always I love going to Colombia, and I love the culture, and I didn't really know much about it growing up. And now I'm like, Dad, why didn't you teach us Spanish? You know, it's cooler to be if I could, you know, actually go down there and speak fluently with everybody instead of like, I can't imagine, because I try to speak it when I'm down there. Who knows what, you know, the hell I'm saying, you know, because I'm, you know, it's probably like so broken and backwards, but you know, I try.
Yeah, no, right on. Yeah, luckily my mom, she did. I mean, she did. She spoke to us a lot. We actually would stay in Mexico for months at a time when I was growing up. So, I would actually forget English when I would come back to the States after being in. When you're a kid, it's it's like a sponge.
Yeah, you know, right.
You know, yeah, it would be. I would come back for school. I'd be gone all summer, and then I'd come back for school, and I would have the first couple weeks. I'd be just having really tough time with English, and then I just get right back into it. And then, it's so I'm very thankful for that now. In retrospect,
that's one of those things that I wish, because people are like, they'll be like, yeah, like, you know, you speak. It's like, oh, I'm like, the amount of times I have to say un poquito in my life, got real annoying, Dad. Like, why? Because, you know, if I was younger, un poquito,
That's hilarious. You know, to be honest with you, if you don't use it, it's, you know, it sort of goes away. And luckily I went to Spain and moved there and married someone from Spain, and that helps sort of reinvigorate everything. So my household is actually all Spanish. We don't speak any English in my house.
I think originally like the Cabrera side came from Spain.
They did. Well, I looked up the name. It has actually a huge lineage, to be honest with you, your name. Yeah, they were saying part of Catalunya, which is where like Barcelona is, that area of Spain. So pretty cool. Yeah, your name has a lot of history. It was really neat.
I dig it. I love being mixed, and especially, you know, I think it's just.
That's my mix too. Half white, half Hispanic.
Yeah, I think it's dope.
Yeah, me too.
I didn't go to college, but I imagine it might have helped on my application. I didn't get to use that. Yeah.
That's funny. That is hilarious. Yeah, so did that ever, like, I guess if you weren't really exposed to the language, but I'm sure the culture's just inside of you. Do you think that affected your music, your rhythm, and, you know?
Well, when I hear Spanish music, like, I think Cristo. I used to go to Miami every Christmas, would spend it with my grandma, and every summer. And so that, like, I heard more music in her household than like my parents. You know, a lot of people are like, oh, my dad used to listen to old Beatles records. My mom used to listen to, you know, Springsteen, like all the good stuff. But I'm like, I didn't really grow up around music, like in our actual house. But when I went to my grandma's, music, oh my God, all the time, like Grupo Nietzsche, Jerry Rivera, like all, you know, the old, amaze, like salsa and like all this, and everybody's always dancing. So I grew up around dancing, like salsa, and like all that stuff when I was there in Miami. And then I got home, it was different. I kind of had to discover it for myself. But like literally the second I hear salsa music or, you know, reggaeton or stuff like that, like I literally think of Christmas. I'm like, oh, reminds me of my grandma. That is definitely in me. It's in there somewhere. And like you said, like I was kind of a sponge for that. So like I do have certain songs. They're not like singles or anything like that, or anything like you would have heard, but you could hear like a little bit of a Latin like beat in there, like that rhythm that kind of incorporated over. And then I ended up doing a couple of songs in Spanglish. Well, I did Truth in full Spanish, but then I also did a Spanglish version.
Oh, really? Oh, I didn't know that. That's badass. I did that
for my grandma, because I was like, if she can hear me sing in Spanish, even though, you know, I don't speak it fluently, but I can, you know, I can sing it enough to where, like, I could still mean what I'm saying, and It was actually the only version. She lived in Miami, so Y100 down in Miami, the only version of True they played was the Spanglish version. So that for me was a big deal because she got to hear me on the radio, and it was in Spanish, and that kind of
awesome.
I think.
That is so cool, man.
Finally believed me that I was doing something with my life.
She finally believed you. That's hilarious.
Came out, I was in English, she heard it, and she's like, Ryancito, I don't know. And then she heard English, and she's like, okay, now we're talking. And that's literally, she got so excited.
Oh man, that's hilarious. That is so funny. I love that. Yeah, that's parents or grandparents, right? It's unless something connects with them, it's not a big deal. It's like I don't know who that is, or it's like I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, when you tell your grandma you're not going to college because you're gonna play music, she's like, that's cute.
That's
that's cute. You're an idiot. Good luck with that.
Yeah, good luck with that. So that God, that's so interesting because so basically you didn't really grow up, at least in your direct household, your immediate family. What made you want to pick up a guitar and start writing songs? Like, why even?
I think when I was like late middle school, early high school, like I told girls that I was in a band, and I was not. But I thought they thought that was cool. And I didn't even play an instrument, but me and my other buddy, Ryan Cabrera, like said we were in a band, and then I had to back it up. They're like, when are you ever gonna play a show? Like, oh, we'll play a show. And then Ryan, he had an old guitar in his room, and we were just hanging out. Like, do you think maybe I should actually learn the guitar, and then we can actually maybe form a band and play some shows? And he's like, well, here's this guitar. So I just played at his house every day, and then that kind of formed into something.
That's crazy. So you just felt like you just had a natural talent for it, or were other people telling you, "Damn, man, you got something"?
No, I wasn't very good. I just got lucky. Kind of along the way.
Yeah. Wow. That's I mean, the songs you've written, man, they're amazing. So it's just like no formal training, just all natural.
Just had to go for it.
So look, so you've been writing songs. You have any new music that you are wanting to release or what?
Yeah, well, you know what? Like I did, I threw out a little something, but it was just for fun. That me and my buddy wrote over like FaceTime. Because just to keep, some stuff out there, it's a song that, I never would have released, for the album, but it's like, here's something just fun for you guys to, party to, while we're all stuck at home kind of thing. But then I started going to the studio to write. I go in like with the intention to write for my album, and I'm gonna finish my album. But then all of a sudden, hear something, and then it's like, oh, who this be cool for? And then we ended up like writing it for a different artist, which is also really fun and a different way to kind of go about the whole process. But so we started working with this young 14-year-old kid who's insane. Like he's so good. And, kind of, so then now like, dang, we hit this song that's so dope. Like, let's write another one for him and then, work on different projects. But I will get to the, finish in mind at some point.
Yeah, right on. Well, that's cool to write music for other artists, right? Like, do you?
Yeah, it's different. It's the way that, I can get away with telling a story through, someone else's eyes, which is different, than what I would ever do.
Sure.
My music, this is through my eyes. For somebody else, it could be like, maybe people look at it this way. It's just another way to try to relate to different audiences.
How about writing for, like, does it matter if it's male or female? Like, does that make sense?
No,
it doesn't matter.
I try to, things, different ways. Whether we're male or female, we all kind of go through certain things.
100%.
And there's a universal language, I think everybody can relate to. And
sure.
like me and Avril Lavigne wrote a song called "Tell Me It's Over" for her album last year.
Wow.
It was, kind of looking at, a relationship that happened to her, through her eyes. And so that was fun to do. And it's just different ways, to express ourselves. And so sometimes it's, it's kind of fun, like to do something for somebody else, because I can kind of say stuff that I normally wouldn't say,
Totally. Yes. I can only imagine. Yeah, absolutely. Get to be a different side of yourself.
Yeah, I get to be a different person for a day.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
Well, and
So
also there's songs that I'd want to hear that I think are better suited for other people's voices. Like my voice is kind of is cool in this direction, but then like I could hear like this melody going in this way, which is something maybe I can't do. So, but I can like hear it in my head and try to be like, what if you did this, and then they go off, and I'm like, oh, damn, it sounds so much better with you doing it than me doing it.
so that's just growth basically, so like, as a
Yeah,
songwriter when you began to now,
knowing who you are,
right?
what you
Yeah.
can and can't do. This is a way to do that, and like the song we wrote for Stefan is such a dope song. If I sang that, I'd sound like an idiot, because it's such a different style. But I could still write it. I could
Sure.
still help write, come up with the stuff. It's just performance wise, it makes more sense sometimes for other people.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like, from when you began to where you are now as a songwriter and producer, right? You wear a lot of different hats. What is really, I don't know, what are the two or three top things that you've changed, like in yourself? Like, you're more collaborative. Like, what is the bigger things now?
Yeah, I think learning that you don't have to do it all, yourself. I was pretty stubborn, the first two albums I did. I was like, I have to be, looked at as like a real artist. I tried certain things, or there were certain collaborations that were offered to me, and I'm like, no, I do everything, blah, blah. And then by the third album, I'm like, wait, it's actually way cooler, to collaborate and work on, with a bunch of different people and like absorb, what they know, knowing that, you're not always right, and sometimes it's better for the song to listen instead of always just saying that this is right. And I've always been pretty open, but at the same time stubborn in the beginning, and then realizing now, and then that's probably the biggest growth was just being open to ideas and trying to learn from everybody, and just watch what they're doing and be like, okay, I could take a little bit of that, take a little bit of this, and then make it my own.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean it's definitely a different way to write a song because in the beginning you did write every one of your songs, right, for your albums.
Well, I've always wrote, every song, but I was like, I never did another song and then, put it out there. But I'm not opposed. I don't know if I could ever sing like a single like that I didn't, or at least have a piece of.
Yeah.
But that's just like my own personal.
Sure. Well, you got to give it your little touch, right? I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know. It's always been such a thing because obviously a lot of artists now, don't really write their own song. There's writers and they get pitched songs, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just for me, like I personally want to, know
Have
that
a piece in it. Yeah.
I did that. Yeah.
So like when you wrote, On the Way Down, were you thinking, okay, this song is going to catapult me to superstardom?
No. That's one of those weird things. You never know. Like you don't like. It's like I can't judge my music. I think I can. Like I could be like, all right, I think this song's really good, but you don't really know because you're so like in it. You're too involved. Like I could play you 6 songs and I'd be like, this is clearly the best one. And then, that's the beauty is that everyone's got different opinions to where you'd be like, man, I really dig this one. Or, everybody's going to be different.
Sure. Yeah, it's just how you connect with the song.
You can't tell if it's a hit or not. You don't know if people are going to like it. You might think like, oh, I think a lot of people like this one, and be totally wrong. And that's where hopefully you have a good team, around you to where they can be like, we've been doing this for 25 years, Ryan. You've been doing it for 4 months. Like, I think we know what we're doing, and then be like, all right, I trust you. Like, I don't know everything about everything, So that was definitely, they picked On the Way Down as the first single. And that was actually the song that got me signed. So that was the good news of that song is like, it got me a record deal.
Yeah, absolutely. God, that's awesome, man. That's just so cool. So that just, I mean, was it, I don't want to say overnight, but did it seem like overnight success to you?
No, because I did. I came from the time period when you had to grind, like you had to go play every show because you didn't get discovered, back then on YouTube or, Vine or Instagram or whatever. You had to play shows like as much as possible and try to get as good as you can and go in and, I took every show I could get. I played in like Mexican food restaurants, sitting there in the corner, nobody listening, to empty bars in Austin for like literally just the bartender. And then, I used to go door to door at sororities. I'd go to campuses and just knock on every sorority door and ask if I could come in and play for them. And I'd be like,
wow.
I'm going to go play a show at the blah, blah, blah. Like, if you guys want to come, and I'd sit there in the living room with my guitar and play for them and try to get, dude, if you got one fan a night, that was a big deal back then, So I used to play at Deep Ellum, which is in Dallas, like the gritty part of Dallas or the nightclubs and all that stuff. And I wasn't even old enough to get into the clubs myself. So I'd have to go in, play, and then leave because they wouldn't let me hang out. I couldn't even sound check. I couldn't watch any of the other bands.
Oh, really? They wouldn't even let you sound check? No shit.
I had to go. No, not without my parents.
Yeah.
So it was.
Hey, Mom, how does this sound? Yeah.
Different time. So by the time like I actually got signed, like I've already been playing like over 1,000 shows.
Wow.
And then once that happened, and then it was a slow build too. For even that song, like the guy that signed me, he was a genius. He's like, here's what I'd rather have, because I remember like it came out and it like, came out like maybe really low, like it was the 112th song being played, which isn't very many spins per week. And then the next week it was like at 111. And then the next week it was like 109. And so that, after, some time, and you sign a record deal, you're so excited, your stuff's coming out, like this is going to be big. So you think, and then it's just sitting there like this. And he's like, Ryan, I'm telling you right now, this is exactly what we want. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I want to do that. And he goes, no. Songs that last, are the ones that do this. And these are the songs that, will stand the test of time and be around for a lot longer than the ones that go like this, because as quickly as they go like this, they go just like that. So you wanted to do that, and then that, and that's like that. And then lo and behold, 29 weeks later, finally, broke the top 20, and then last it hit like 18, 17, 16, and then just slowly built. And then I was like, hell yeah. I was like, all right, I'll listen to you. So from that point on, I trusted that man for everything. He was great.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Was there one moment to you during that time where you were just like, I fucking made it? Was it like a special show you were playing, or an interview you did, or you met somebody? I don't know. Is there one moment?
It wasn't for a while, but I mean, like I always told myself, if you ever have a tour bus, you've made it. And then when you get that, you're like, all right, well, I haven't really made it yet. If I get to here, like, all right, you've made it. And then after you do that, you're like, well, this would be a little bit cooler. And, there's obviously, you could judge it by venues or like, sizes or what you've done and all that stuff. But for me, it was, I think it was, I forget, it was maybe 2006. I got invited to the Songwriter Awards or Songwriters of the Year, something like that, awards. And then I got to perform on stage with Smokey Robinson, Bill Withers, who was one of my heroes.
Oh, Bill Withers.
John Fogerty, Richie Sambora.
Wow.
Randomly enough, Chris Tucker, for some reason, was on that stage with us. But we all sang My Girl. Smokey was off the lead for My Girl. Yes. And I remember looking up here and just saying, like, what the hell am I doing up here? Just giant spikes, dressed like an asshole, and all these legends. And then me. But it was in that moment, and I remember being like, I don't care what I've done before this. I don't care what I've done after this. Right now, in this moment, I was like, you did something that, even, you didn't even know you could ever get to or like do. So for me, like those are, like with Bill Withers. I remember after I was like, Bill, I'm a fan of all these people, like, and I'm on stage singing, with them, because I mean, at that time, somehow I ended up there, but I was like, I'm still a fan of all these people. Like, I'm like, Bill, will you sign my guitar? I just played on stage with you. And he's like, dude, get over here, brother. He's like, absolutely. And he's like, you know what? He's like, you're the future. And signed my guitar. And I was like, dude, over.
That's what a story.
Wait, I don't even care what happens from this point on. I'll always know that I had that moment and I did something to get there. So that was a really special moment for me.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Wow, what a
I had no business being up there with those cats.
You absolutely did. I mean, in my opinion, you know, it's amazing. Yeah, but I can imagine being in your position and thinking the same thing if I looked around and saw that.
How did I get here?
Yeah.
Like, you know, 3 years ago, I didn't even own a pair of shoes, you know.
You grinded, man. Like you said, you grinded.
I did. When I moved out to LA, like I didn't have a pair of shoes. I only had a pair of flip-flops.
That's crazy.
It was exciting. I had to pack so quick. Like I was playing the overnight thing. It wouldn't be like the success or like getting a record deal because I got turned down by every label before I ended up getting a record deal by one of the labels that turned me down. Like it was like that whole thing. But I did, like I was in Dallas one night playing at the Hard Rock Cafe for this little showcase. And Joe Simpson at the time, you know, obviously Jessica Simpson was, you know, huge at that time, you know, like her first album, just killing it. And he saw me play that night and was like, yeah, you're moving to LA with me and the family. I'm gonna get your flight and we're gonna make you a star. And I was like, it was just like that. I was like, okay, well, I just started. Wow. I'd been going to UTD for 3 months, and like I just grabbed a bag real quick. I had just like literally a carry-on bag, and then 2 days later, I was living in LA. Actually, not too far from where I live now. Living with the Simpson family in this giant house, and I didn't have shoes. I didn't pack anything. And so all I had was my flip-flops. And eventually we started going to record label meetings, and Joe used to yell at me. He's like, Ryan, you're meeting with the president of Universal Records, and you're wearing flip-flops. Like, I didn't bring shoes. I didn't have time. I didn't have time to go home. I didn't want to tell my mom that I didn't. So I just took what I had in my little dorm or my college apartment. I didn't want to go home and tell my parents that I was leaving for LA because I know they wouldn't let me. So I just left.
Oh, wow.
So all I had was what I had. And so then he would yell at me because I'm meeting with like the president of Sony, the president of Universal, and I'm wearing flippy flops. And so he gave me the next day after I told him that he had a pair of shoes in front of my door outside of my room, but they were the ugliest damn shoes I'd ever seen. These ugly ass Pradas. And I'm like, that's nice and all. I know you like, you know, expensive things, Joe, but these are ugly as hell. You paid $1,000 to look these dumpy Prada shoes. And I was like, damn it, I have to wear these things. So I wore them. And I also didn't wear matching socks at the time because it was like a superstitious thing. Like, and so, and the reason it came was because, so I went to the meeting in those ugly Prada shoes without socks on. Remember, mind you, I only had flippy flops at this time. So I'm like, I don't care if you need socks. So I went to the meeting and he could see like, you know, the part between my pants and the shoes. So he's like, you can't go meet with the president of Atlantic Records with no socks on. Come on, you gotta look presentable. And so it pissed him off. So then the next meeting, I wore mismatching socks just to piss him off. And so from that moment on, I never wore matching socks again. And that was why all the fans always wonder, like, dude, don't you have a pair of matching socks? I'm like, I do, but I ain't gonna wear them because I know it drives Joe Simpson nuts. Right.
Damn, man, that is just crazy. He just plucks you out and takes you to California. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, dude, literally a couple days later, I'm living in LA, and
I can't believe you didn't tell your parents. I can't. I mean,
go over well, and be honest with you, did not go over well. Like, yeah, so I live in LA now, and I'm gonna play music for a living, not go to college, not get a degree, and not be a business person like y'all want me to. So
and they didn't like that.
No, they still don't. My mom, well, they started to like it once they realized, you know, at that time they could, you know, go somewhere and probably get, you know, a table quicker. Yeah, they started to like it a little bit then.
She like skips the line at PF Chang's. She's like, this is bonus. I love.
Yeah, hour and a half wait at the Rainforest Cafe. Not anymore. How's your son doing now?
Yeah, how's your son? Oh man, that's hilarious. God, what a crazy fucking story, man. I mean, just bam, in LA, gonna be a star.
That, like I said, it wasn't easy roads. I sing for every label and I got turned down. They all said no. They all said the same thing. They're like, we like your look, we like your voice, but we don't really hear any hit songs, so no. Like,
so it was the songs that you were bringing them in their mind. At least that's what they were saying to you.
Yeah, but at that time, you're 20 years old. Like, you don't understand that. Like, the way you see the music business in your head versus what the music business is actually like is like, learning a new color. You're like, that's red? Because my whole life I thought that was black. That's how different it really is once you get involved. And Joe would explain that to me because he'd been in the business, but I did not understand that. Like, this isn't the way it's supposed to work. Because you see like on TV or in the movies, what it's supposed to be like, and that is not at all what it's like. So he's like, don't get discouraged. Like, I'm like, Joe, I just got turned down by every label. So I don't know what there's not be discouraged about. He's like, just keep writing. And then one of this publisher, Evan Lambert, was like, Ryan, I hear it. Like, I do songs for a living. You keep writing, and I'll give you some money. We'll sign you over here with us, and then you just keep writing because I know eventually you'll get it. And so that's what kept me afloat. So I did that for like a year and a half. And then I went to New York and worked with these two new producers up there. And we wrote On the Way Down. And then next thing I know, that same label was like, all right, what are you talking about? We always believed in you. I'm like, you did not. Like, yeah. But yeah, whatever. It was fine.
Yeah, and that's the journey, right? I can't imagine. I don't know if I've ever heard any artist go, "Oh, I had the perfect journey through the music industry."
Right? Yeah. No, it doesn't.
Right,
if they did, they're probably lying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Weird.
100%.
First label got signed, had a #1 hit, and then the next, Although nowadays it's weird. It's like it's all about numbers and like followers and all that kind of stuff. When you go into labels, a little bit different than what it was for the first record, at least.
Yeah, you might not even need to get signed to a big label now, right? You can just do it on your own, like we were talking earlier. You can record.
I would say if I was one of the new artists, and I'm already building this huge platform, I would just find a great management team, and because then they'll understand, like, okay, you don't really necessarily have to have all this stuff, because in the long run it's only going to cost you more money. Like, yes, you'll get your however much money advances, but at the end of the day, that's your money. So you could also do it this way, and then use your platforms properly.
Yeah, that's interesting. So Ryan Cabrera 2020, if he was starting now, that's the way he would do it.
If I had built that up, and anybody, even if you want to get signed, if you're not like, working on, building that fan base, that's what obviously the music is first and foremost, at least for me, but, not in every case, because obviously, there's a package that might work without the best music in the world, but.
Yeah, for sure. So look, Ryan, I'm going to change topic a little bit.
Right.
This will be sort of, we'll round it out here. I've been doing a lot of research, for our interview, and I've been watching a lot of clips of you on the USA Network, and you're on.
Oh, Miz and Mrs.
Miz and Mrs. Yes, man. That, like, I wasn't expecting that when I went to research you. I was like, whoa, because that show is great. That guy is amazing. I remember him from Real World. Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, he was absolutely my favorite from that. He's one of my favorite from.
Yeah.
He did all the challenges. Like, he's amazing. And then he got into wrestling, became this legit wrestler. And he always wanted to do that on the Real World. So, like,
that's what I heard. They're like, he always had that character.
He said that from the beginning. It was like the first thing he said.
I never saw him on the show. I heard that. I mean, but we became friends during that time period, because right after that show came out was when we met. So we've been like, he's one of the first people I met out in LA. This is like 2003, maybe.
Oh,
and,
wow.
We became friends.
I didn't know that.
And then I remember when he told us all, he's like, I'm going to become a wrestler. I want to become a wrestler. Like, sweet. Good luck with that. Uh-huh.
Dude,
like, yeah, Mike, you're bigger than me, but you're not that big. And he just was at it and at it and at it. Man, I can't tell you, like, how, like, his work ethic, and
that's awesome.
Dude, I've never seen that. And he, didn't care what we said. We poked fun at him, just all the time, like buddies always do. Like, sure, you're a wrestler.
Of course.
And then he killed it, and is still as humble today as he was when, you know, the second before he even said he was going to try out for that. So, and his show is so good. And like, that's really what they're like.
That's great.
Like,
I love that.
Like, that's legit what he's like. That show's so fun. I like that. I like doing that show because there's no like drama on it. Like, there's no like forced, okay, well, you know, there's some like, you know, there's the, you know, the marital issues that people have, but it's always done in a loving way. There's no like bullshit behind the show, which a lot of the reality shows do, which I would know because I dated a lot of girls that were on some. And I know the BS that goes on behind them. So with this show, he asked me to, to come on. I'm like, I know this will be fun, and we can, goof around and be ourselves.
So how does that work? Do they like call you and then say, we're filming, come on over, or is it just natural?
No, it's more like he'll be, like I would happen to be going to Austin, or like he's having, a baby shower, which I'd be, going to, or if he's having a Halloween party, and then, after that, like, if, whatever we'd normally be doing on the new season, we go to, like, we love playing golf together. So we're going to like the TaylorMade Kingdom, which is what we'd be doing also. But they're like, well, hey, let's film you guys. It's fun when you guys together and you can chat about what's been going on. So it kind of works more like that. Like if I'm in town, because, we talked, like I talked to him this morning and, about what we're doing, what's going on. Let's play golf this week, or let's grab dinner or whatever. And then sometimes he'll be like, hey, do you care if we film? And I'll be like, no, of course not. Or if, on the new season also, I was doing like this beer pong little tournament at my manager's house for this app thing. And he's like, why am I not invited? I'm like, dude, you're not. He's like, we're filming it. And I'm like, okay. Like, why not?
Oh man, I love that. That's so
great show.
It's a great show, man. Yeah, it's such a great show. You're great on it. It's really funny. One clip in particular that just had me rolling was when he showed up and said, hey, I got this clip of me singing at Twisted Sister. And,
oh God,
dude. Yeah.
He still thinks he can sing. Like we have these videos we send to each other, and he thinks he like legit. We auto-tune the fuck out of him, and he knows it. But he still pretends like when he hears it, like he actually sang it like that. And like maybe one day you'll get there. And I'm like, oh my God, that was a fun episode because what they weren't allowed to show. It was that episode. He was doing like carpool karaoke, or he had to sing at like one of the events. So we were like, put him in the studio, like see what he's got, give him some voice lessons, and then got him ready. I was doing a show in San Diego at the fair. So him and Maurice came out, and he wanted to introduce me. And so Lance Bass is the host of our tour. So Lance is the comes out and does all the intros when like I'm about to go on. And Mike's like, yo, can I do the intro? And so the cameras came out, and I'm like, yeah, of course. He's like, well, so who's going to intro me? And I was like, if you're doing the intros, you're the introer. Do you want someone to introduce the introducer? Like, that's what his network. He's like, yeah. I'm like, so you're telling me you want Lance Bass, the host of our tour, to introduce you to introduce me? And he's like, yeah. I go, no. I was like, get your ass out there with Lance. Y'all do it together. And I do the thing. And then he comes up during the last song, and we do the Twisted Sister for the whole crowd. And everybody's face in the crowd was one of the funniest things. They're just like, make it stop. I don't like it. I don't like it. And he's just screaming, we're not gonna take it. And he gets so into it. He gets fired up. It is great, but unfortunately the city of San Diego wouldn't approve the like sign off whatever, which we already had like the fair signed off on it, and then they didn't air that part of the episode, but it was hysterical. It was so good.
That is hilarious. God, well, that's the performer in him coming out, right? Just,
he can't help it. You give him a microphone, he ain't gonna give it back.
That makes the best wrestlers. Those are the best.
Hey,
you know who I had? You know who we had on the podcast was Mark Henry.
That's right. Yeah, I saw that.
Dude, he was so great to talk to.
He's from Texas?
He's from Texas. He's from just outside of Houston, actually. And he lives in Austin right now, actually.
Oh, nice. I saw that he was on there. I love that. I was like, that's great.
It's so great. We had so many great conversations. As soon as this whole pandemic sort of opens up a little bit more here, we're going to go out and get some barbecue and chat. I can't wait to just
Austin,
dude, eating barbecue and talking wrestling with Mark Henry. I mean, that'd be a dream date for me. I'll tell my wife, look, don't wait up for me. I don't know.
And those wrestlers can party too.
Oh, I can't even imagine. I mean, I'm from the restaurant industry, so we always say that we party like rock stars, but I can't imagine that we actually do.
I can't. I don't even try.
No, I wouldn't even. There's only so much you can take if you really want to do something with your life and your career. You know what I mean? You gotta have some discipline. So for sure. Well, look, Ryan, this has been awesome, man. I've really enjoyed this conversation. Yeah, I didn't realize how funny you were, to be honest with you, man. You had me rolling this whole time. Man, so thank you for that.
That was awesome.
Yeah, so awesome, man. Well, look, good luck with everything that you have going on. My best.
Whenever I'm in Austin, I'll hit you up.
Absolutely, man. Please do that. I'm here, and anytime you want to.
Austin, I'll hit you up, and if you're ever in LA, hit me up.
That's awesome, man. Well, I really do appreciate that.
Some beers.
Bro, that's what I'm saying. I'll cook, man. I'm a chef. I'll throw down.
To the house, cook it up.
I learned from Aaron Franklin how to cut brisket and shit,
Dude, that's my favorite. I have a couple of chef buddies whenever I have barbecues out here, and it's like, damn, I thought I'd cook. Never mind.
It's just, look, dude, it's like if I wrote a song and you wrote a song. Okay?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
That's it. That's the only difference.
Yeah.
That's it. Just time. I've had time with it.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, man, thank you so much. My best to you and your family, and stay safe out there, bro.
Have a great rest of your day, and then we'll talk then.
All right, I really hope you enjoyed that podcast as much as I did. If you have any questions for me, please feel free to email the podcast at patrick@texasrealfood.com. And don't forget, you can check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, all the different places you can get podcasts. You'll find us on there, or you can just go to our website. Go to thelone-star-plate.com, and you can check us out on YouTube if you want to watch it. We video these now, on a little webcam here, and go to the Texas Real Food YouTube channel, and you can find it there. Make sure to follow Texas Real Food as well on Instagram and Facebook. Subscribe, and if you are so inclined, please leave us a review anywhere you can. Follow us on Spotify or leave a review on Apple Podcast. That would really help us out. Thanks again for listening. Really do appreciate it. Without you guys, what's the point of doing this? So if you have any suggestions on how we can make the show better, please let us know. Thanks again. Be safe out there. Wash your hands.